friends, let's talk about your Turkish get-up. I want to give you a little bit of a deep dive into form and what to think about each phase. The Turkish get-up is kind of like the yoga of strength training. There's so many different steps, and it requires that you be really mindful as you move. When I say yoga, I mean that it's going to be mindful movement. It's not going to be something that we're trying to make into this super flowy movement where we're going from one phase to the next and it's fluid. Every single step is intentional, and every single phase of the Turkish get-up is setting you up to best be in the position to do the next phase, okay? So I'm going to show you one Turkish get-up, the full thing, just so you know where we're going if you're unfamiliar with this lift. And then I'll break it down and talk about things you can be thinking about in each phase, okay? Okay, so we always start our Turkish get-up by rolling over to the side in order to get the kettlebell into position. When you're starting your Turkish get-up practice, you're probably going to be lifting super light, and maybe this safety measure isn't exactly necessary, but we want to be putting in the reps to support ourselves when we start to do Turkish get-ups with heavier load, okay? So the safest way to do Turkish get-ups with a heavy load is to roll over onto your side, take your hand into the kettlebell handle, use both hands to pull it into position, and then you can use one or both hands to get the kettlebell up overhead, okay? So here in this position, the kettlebell's resting diagonally across my hand. I'm gonna grip the handle with a pretty strong grip. My knuckles are punching up towards the sky, and as I move throughout this movement, my arm is going to stay super straight and strong. So no loose noodles like this. Any looseness here, lack of tension, is going to make the movement so much harder for my shoulder. If my arm is straight and strong, all the bones are going to be stacked, and my shoulder will be best able to manage this load, okay? So with my imaginary kettlebell, I'm coming into position. For this first phase, I'm focusing on pushing down through this foot on the side of the kettlebell. So I'm going to use this foot to push myself onto the side of my body, and then I'll use this elbow to pull me up onto my forearm. So I've got this nice cross-body tension, pushing down and then pulling through the elbow, okay? So again, using my whole body to come up, and then I'll come onto my hand. In this position and in this position, I'm making sure that my shoulder is away from the ear, so I'm not collapsing down here, okay? Shoulders away from the ear, and I'm nice and open across the chest. From this position, I'm going to start to drag my heel to my heel, and then slide the leg all the way back, okay? Let me show you that again from the front angle, okay? So I'm sliding heel to heel, and then the shin comes back. I'm dragging my knee until it's in alignment with where my hand is placed, okay? So I want you to notice here, I'm creating this little shin box. So my knees are facing in opposite directions, okay? So again, I'm rolling, I'm coming up, I'm dragging the leg back, knee ends up in alignment with my hand, and then I'll shift the weight into my hips and come up to this half kneeling position, okay? The shift into the hips is really important, okay? So we don't want to be lifting up here through the spine and kind of rounding our way up, okay? We want to use the hips. This is where we've got a lot of power and a lot of strength, so let's load the hips instead of the spine in order to help us get up, okay? So again, weight shifts into the hips, and then we use the the hips to come up into this half kneeling. From here, you can swivel the back foot until you're in a lunge position, okay? And then you'll stand up. We'll lunge it back and then swivel the foot into the position. So again, we're finding that shin box. Hand to the hip to remind us to hinge. Hand comes down straight out from the knee. Leg comes forward, down to your forearm, and then all the way down, okay? One more time on the other side. Move this kettlebell out of the way. Okay, so pushing and pulling my way onto the forearm. Lifting up to my hand and staying nice and long through my torso, okay? So when I'm here, I'm not trying to overdo it and arch through the core here. My rib cage is staying pinned down and active. Core is active over the pelvis, okay? From here, heel to heel, and guide the shin back. Shifting weight into my hips, and then I'm coming up, okay? So again, you can swivel the foot into the lunge. If you would like to, you can take the leg and step into the lunge, okay? So stepping into the lunge or swiveling into the lunge, both of these variations are perfectly fine. It's really up to your personal preference. I've spent years in a gym with a really hard floor and not a lot of cushion under my knees, so I don't particularly like this knee swivel. I prefer to step into it because it's a little bit easier on the knees. But again, this is totally up to personal preference. Most people will teach the swivel before they teach the stepping into the lunge. You can practice both. It's your practice, so it's up to you. So we're in the lunge position, rib cage over pelvis, arms super straight and strong. We're using the strength of both legs to stand up, okay? The first time you do this under load, you'll probably feel really powerful and strong. It might even feel a little bit impossible at first. But once you go from lying on your back all the way to standing with weight overhead, it's so cool and you're gonna feel so powerful, okay? So from this position, this is the only position where your eyes are gonna gaze straight forward, okay? And then we'll start to lunge down, and I'm gonna redirect my eyes so that they're looking up at the kettlebell, okay? I'm not doing my whole neck like this. I'm kind of like looking up through my eyebrows just to give myself some awareness of where the kettlebell is. This is gonna help brain and body communicate so that the shoulder feels safe and can best stabilize the weight overhead, okay? So again, I'm looking up, I'm in this lunge position, and then I gotta open the gate, okay? Coming into this shin box, hand to the hip. I'm gonna guide the hand down the knee and then let it come straight out from the knee, okay? So a lot of people will get tripped up on this phase and they'll drop the hand way back here. When you do this and you find yourself down here, this is gonna be a really awkward lower. So again, every phase sets you up for the next phase and the next phase, okay? So we want the hand to come straight out from the knee so that when we get here, it feels easy and available to lower down onto the forearm, okay? If there's any phase of this movement that feels difficult, please isolate it. You can practice it with just body weight or you can practice it with load. So if that initial roll to the forearm is challenging, you could do 3 to 5 reps of that in a row and just try to dial it in. Notice like, okay, I'm pushing, I'm rolling, I'm pulling. And you could practice that for 3 to 5 reps in a row until that feels smoother. Another phase that often gets people a little bit stuck is this phase. So you could start from the tall sit and then just work on getting the shin to land in the spot that it needs to land in, okay? Yeah, so I hope this is helpful. As you dive into your Turkish get-up practice this month, I would love to see a video, and please let me know if you have any questions about how to do this. Happy